Do do do. Here we go. We're back. And I'm back in black. Back in black. Here we go, people. The greatest show on the internet. The Derek O'Shea Show. Quite possibly the best. It's Thursday. It's time to freaking get our party on. And here we go. What's up, everyone? What's up, everyone? Tomato hater. Oh, man, that's racist. Yeah, I hate tomatoes. No, I don't care. Papa Burlap, I don't care. Fight me if you want. So much in the news. We got Trump stuff. Partially redacted affidavit. We got me taking a huge L when it comes to student debt relief and so much more. This is the Derek O'Shea Show. Welcome to the revolution.
Come on, man.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day. I am currently live on Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, Twitters, and the Facebooks. Speaking of Facebook, we have a huge clip to get into tonight regarding what Mark Zuckerberg freaking said on the podcast with Joe Rogan. I never would have thought that guy would have had the cojones to actually go on that podcast, but I digress. But we have huge news going on in the world right now. How's everyone going in the chat? Also, just so you know, if I ever answer a question you do not see in the chat, it is because somebody asked me a question on a different platform. What are you going to do? That is just part of this life. So much is going on in the news. I can't believe you've chosen to hang out with me, Papa Burlap. There's huge. I know Tucker Carlson has freaking Andrew Tate on tonight. I want to know what that interview is all about. Hopefully we can get some clips in the middle of the show, but you never know. So much to get into. I'm feeling good. I hope you're feeling good. Let's get right into some of the news as judge orders unsealing of redacted affidavit in Trump's search. Are we actually going to find anything in regards to this search? Probably not. Probably won't find anything. Just another government corruption. If not, we'll have a little, oops, sorry, maybe we went a little too far and maybe the story is too big and hopefully we'll just squash the story and make it go away. I'm boycotting Tucker until he starts wearing bow ties again. Good. Also, I have a new character to show on this show. A judge ordered the Justice Department on Thursday to make public a redacted version of the affidavit it relied on when federal search. Are we going to find anything in this? We're not going to find anything. It's going to be the most ridiculous thing to read in the whole world. It's like every other thing that they let go. And they're like, see, well, we're being honest. We're letting you know what's going on. This is what actually was in these documents. This is why we rated him. These documents are serious. But why listen to me when we can listen to the most ridiculous news source ever? And that's CBS. Tell us how excited they are about the affidavit. Papa, talk to me.
And thank you for joining us on this Thursday night. Tonight, we are one step closer to seeing a redacted version of the affidavit the government used to...
I love how excited these people are on CBS about this redacted affidavit. Like they're actually going to see anything. They're just like, you know, this is going to be a huge historic moment for all of us in the world. We're going to finally find out that Trump has been peeing on Russian models.
To support a search warrant of former President Trump's Florida home, Mar-a-Lago. That release could come at any moment. A federal judge ordered the unsealing just hours after the Justice Department submitted the document with those redactions. There are parts of the affidavit that federal investigators want to keep secret, citing concerns that it will impact the early stages of this probe. The redactions are expected to be extensive. Media organizations, including CBS News, urge the release of...
I like to use CBS Source for something like this because I know how excited they are to finally figure out what's in this affidavit. Like, they just want to know what's in these documents so bad because they feel like they're going to have some kind of aha moment, be like, I told you so moment. I told you Trump is basically an evil dictator. Have you ever seen the Weird Al movie? No, I haven't seen it yet. Are you talking about the documentary?
The document, something that would be extremely rare, but would shed light on why the FBI searched a former president's home. Well, we have a lot of news to get to tonight, and CBS's Robert Costa will start us off from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Talk to us, Robert.
Good evening, Nora. The decision by the Florida federal judge to release a redacted version
By the way,
of
this
this
just came out.
affidavit is a major development in this case, and it could provide new details about why the home of the former president was searched. Late this afternoon, Florida federal judge Bruce Reinhart.
UHF. I don't know what that is. UHS from the 80s. What's UHF? University of Hell and Fire Brimstone.
Reinhart, who initially approved the warrant that led to the search of Mar-a-Lago, issued an order that portions of an affidavit justifying the search should be made public by noon tomorrow. Reinhart wrote that he approved the Justice Department's suggested redactions to portions of the affidavit to protect the identity of witnesses, law enforcement agents, the investigation strategy, direction, scope, sources, and methods, and grand jury information. Justice Department officials had opposed releasing the full affidavit and could still appeal the decision, saying last week they are very concerned about the safety of the witnesses involved in their investigation of Trump's handling of classified information, some of which went up to the level of top secret.
I think what the public is going to learn is, again, just how much effort went into this affidavit. The fact
UHF, the Weird Al movie. It's pretty funny. I'll check it out. I like Weird Al. I mean, as a 90s kid, I remember a lot of Weird Al.
that there are pages and pages and pages of probable cause, potentially the types of documents above and beyond what we already know were seized.
Judge Reinhart made the ruling just hours after the Justice Department submitted the redacted affidavit at his request. Former President Trump, who has previously called for it to be released, conferred with his attorneys in Bedminster, New Jersey.
It's like, there's nothing in this if Trump is asking for it to be released. It's just such an obvious L for the FBI. This is one of these stories that's probably going to just slowly go away and pretend like it never happened. And it is like a huge story that should be everywhere all the time, especially because we should know what's actually in this, because it's a freaking president. It's not just me.
New Jersey today. This comes as new reporting from the Washington Post shows that National Archives officials were urging Trump's lawyers as far back as May of 2021, 15 months before the Mar-a-Lago search, to return boxes of documents they said were missing, including letters from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and former President Obama, and that former White House counsel Pat Cipollone knew Trump had stored documents in his residence and agreed they needed to be returned. And this all comes as the investigation.
This sounds more like a power trip kind of thing. It's like, you need to submit to us, Trump, and you need to just send us our documents right now. And he's like, absolutely not. I'm not going to do it. Not my thing. It's just... What do you guys think of the chat? What do you think? Are we going to actually find anything in these documents? Are we going to actually find that Trump is the evil Russian spy that we all knew from day one? Or is it going to be absolutely nothing? I just don't think it. I think it's going to be absolutely nothing. It's just like, and then the story's going to go away, and they're going to pretend like it's totally normal that the FBI like raided Trump, just like they put out, a subpoena, like indicted someone over a diary that apparently is not really real, and we shouldn't really look into that diary or what's in that diary whatsoever, or hold anything in that diary like accountable, like some of the people like Biden showering, stuff like that. Like, we don't need to actually look into these things. You just need to take everything for face value, and if you don't, well, you're a white supremacist fascist. I'm hoping there's a meaningless memo that the media fawns over for 2 weeks. Oh, dude, there is going to be. There's going to be some kind of thing where there'll probably be some kind of memo of him and Putin had during a meeting saying, like, it was nice to meet you. And they're going to say, oh, my God, he said it was nice to meet you. Ergo, he's basically KGB. Like, it's just so ridiculous. We just live in such an upside-down world, and people on the left are just getting crazier and crazier. And then people on the right are starting to get a little crazier because, like, you can't match crazy with just whatever. I don't know what that quote is, what you're quoting, but it's gonna be amazing. We're gonna find that thing. Oh man, do you feel like one day we're gonna end up in some kind of civil war or something because of how crazy people in the media have created characters of people in real life and like politicians and stuff, and the fact that how these politicians just pick who they want to support or who they're going to let off on everything they possibly can. I don't know what's going to create somebody or a whole group of people to snap. Like we saw during the Summer of Love and during January 6th. Like those two things just combined. Like what's the next step is what I'm asking. Like I just don't. It doesn't seem like anything's tampering down like our emotions, our anger towards one another, and just the overall like psychosis that I don't care if this person's even good. Like Sam Harris was said, like I don't care if Hunter Biden had dead babies in his laptop. I just need Trump out. Like there's like such a crazy chasm that is just being divided in this country. And we're just getting farther and farther and farther from us. And it just seems like we're living in two different realities. And there's like the TDS reality, and then there's like everyone else. Like, I just don't know. There was a massive attempt to divide the country, and it frighteningly effective. Yes. Yeah. Social media is to blame for it. Politicians are to blame for it. And corporate media is to blame for it. It's like all together. Instead of just allowing people to have conversations, this is what happens when you try to censor speech. This is what happens when you try to shut down the narrative, shut down conversation, and then you only have one side that completely takes over the narrative, completely takes over what is truth and fact, and then the other side just gets pummeled like they are being bullied by an abuser, and then one day that abuse victim is going to lash out because they can't take it anymore. And that's what I'm like waiting for. And I don't really know what's going to happen. It kind of freaks me out. Like I just see in this country the powerful becoming more powerful and the powerful becoming more aggressive with their power and how they use their power rather than trying to uplift everybody and hear everyone's side and allow people's points of views to be heard or the way in which we should govern. It's like Biden's student loan thing. It'd be different. Like I completely disagree with it and totally. We'll get into that in a second. Like I've always said, but he didn't even go through Congress, and that's what we're doing now. It's like we have like a king as a president now. It's like let's not go through Congress to declare war anymore. Let's just sign it and let's go to war. Let's do whatever it takes. You have like clips of Nancy Pelosi talking about how Biden doesn't actually have the power to do student loan forgiveness. And you got to go through the Congress to do stuff like that. And then now he just did it. And now they're like championing it. Like the two-facedness and the power grab and when people talk about the Constitution, like how great the Constitution is, it doesn't seem like these people care about the Constitution. And so if nobody believes in the power of the Constitution, not even like justices or court judges and stuff like that, it's just, do we have a serious country anymore? Or are we just in a corporate monarchy? That's what it feels like. Like corporations have too much power and they own too many politicians. And then you're seeing the FBI raid Trump, and we'll get into more FBI stuff with Mark Zuckerberg in a second, which that is just nuts. But stay tuned. There's more to come. I get, Papa, like when we talk about dividing the country, it breaks my heart how many people are willing to fight the other rather than engage in conversation, rather than engage in dialogue. It's just, I'm seeing more on social media too. I think we've developed like a sense. I feel like we've developed a sense on social media where it's like you don't even engage in the actual information anymore. You just attack the person that's saying it, and then that person feels like they won the conversation because they made the other person look stupid rather than making their information look stupid. That's why, like, on my channel, like, I don't mind if you disagree with me or you come up with a different point. In fact, I want it, and I encourage it, and I like delight in learning with you. But the minute you just start attacking me as a human being, I'm just like, you're just making me feel like my point is right anyways. You're not teaching me anything. You're not helping me understand anything, how I'm wrong. You're just going after the individual, which makes me feel like you're so insecure. You don't know how to combat what I'm saying. You're just going to attack me as a human being. And that's what we've become as like a society online. We just become like crazy people who just, instead of like engaging in conversation and saying how we should better run this world and this country, we're just like, this person's so stupid. Look how fat you are. Look how ugly you are. It's just so ridiculous. I had friends Papa says, I had friends cut ties with me over this crap. My own family doesn't look at me the same. Papa, same with me. I have tons of liberal family on one side of the family, and they won't even talk to me. They blocked me on Facebook. And again, I am not like a staunch Trump supporter. Like I like I like a lot of things he does. And I dislike a lot of things he does. I'm more libertarian minded. I'm more just like freedom. Like, leave me alone. I want less government. We've tried government solving our problems on both sides of the aisle, and I feel like they do a really shitty job. And so I want less government in my life. I want more. I believe in you and me being able to solve our problems with like locally than I believe in the federal government coming in and trying to solve problems for me, like Biden canceling student debt. I just don't believe in them. Because we've tried them, and they start wars. They give aid to every country in the world except for our own. They allow our streets to be completely ruined. And like this whole canceling student debt, instead of like holding these institutions accountable for how much they freaking charge for this crap, as those institutions just get more and more powerful, and they're like major cities in these little areas in the country. And they just become more powerful, have more influence on our lives, more influence on our politics. And we don't hold them accountable for things. We just give them more money. And then we're like, okay, now we're going to make the American people just pay for the crap in which they charge for nowadays. It's just so ridiculous. We'll get to a point a little later where Elizabeth Warren calls out Mitch McConnell, saying like, Mitch McConnell paid $330 for his college back in the day. He should be thankful. It's like, that is a direct reflection of what shouldn't be anymore, of how expensive college is. The college dream, the American dream, by going to college and getting a good job, is gone because of how expensive college is. If college wasn't so expensive, it would be a good idea to continue your education and continue to learn. But because it's so expensive, it's preposterous to even desire to do so. Unless you have a degree, a job that requires a license or a degree, then you need to change your, like, think through some of these things, like, because that should be the only reason you go to college. And these colleges, I wish, would go completely bankrupt. They're the worst. They get away with that, or their endowments are insane. Their tax breaks are insane. It's just so much of our college is no accountability in education. Just like all politics, because it's a wink and nod to the left, they're never going to hold them accountable for the things that they do, ever. But if kids didn't go to college, how are they going to learn valuable skills like beer pong and walks of shame? Exactly. That's what we have TikTok for. I feel like that's why they hate people like Andrew Tate or these influencers that constantly, like people like Elon Musk that constantly tell them not to go to college. They hate that crap. They're like, shut your mouth. Oh, man. Majority Taylor Greene gets swatted again twice. And for those of you that don't know what swatting is, it's when somebody makes a falsified claim and calls the police and says things like, Majority Taylor Greene is like shooting people or something. They make that claim, and then the police have to come with their totally militarized police SWAT team, pound on your door, and there's been instances where people have died, pets have died, all kinds of things happen, And people are getting away with it because it's pretty easy to hide your call, pretty easy to hide your information online. That's why you need to make sure things like when you take pictures, your geocache is like your geolocation is off. You need to make sure your privacy is up on all your pictures, especially things like Instagram, especially things like Twitter, TikTok, and stuff like that, because you might not know, but every time you take a picture on your phone, you might have a setting on your phone that puts a geo tracker on that freaking picture. So if you take a picture like in Washington, D.C., you're on vacation with friends and family, you post it online, you might not know that there's a setting in your phone that says Derek O'Shea is at this exact location at this time that took this picture. And you might say, oh, that's like a fun thing. It like shows like where I am and like I can remember like the old days. No, this is a problem, especially if you're online, especially if with the left ramping up their violence with swatting and stuff like that. You don't hear this on the right. It's always the left. The left gets away with whatever they want. They're as violent as all get out. They talk about the right being violent. They talk about the right being fascist. It's not even the case. The most violent people in our government is the left right now, right this second. Remember how Cori Bush said that she was entitled to $50K a year security? Exactly. MTG hasn't done that, and she's been swatted twice. Exactly. Yeah, Cori Bush, I'm entitled to my security. My security need guns. You don't need guns. Okay? So she's been targeted twice, and this is, and people, what the most incredible thing, though, is like if you go to Twitter. So she puts this up. I'm going to go to it right now. This is live. She puts this up. I swatted again last night, and some of the replies are freaking nuts. Swatted again last night, but I waited till everyone was awake before I tweeted to my daily trauma because I get more views and attention. Stay tuned. Media hit scheduled to follow. Instead of this being like, wow, this is somebody in our politics being swatted. This should be a huge problem, and this should be on every major news outlet everywhere because this is essentially terrorism. Going after political figures like that. If this was like Nancy Pelosi or Elizabeth Warren or something, this would be everywhere. But because it's majority Telegram, people are just like, nah, who cares? This guy, Tony Posansky. So you're trying to say that the police in Rome took a random phone call from the most famous person in Rome, Georgia, and brought the SWAT team to the same house twice in a week? Twice? Either you're a liar or you need to defund the police. No. The police have to come. They have to check it out. Because what if this time it isn't a SWAT? It's like some of these people's replies are just freaking insane. And this is her kind of talking about what happened. And she says the left is trying to have her murdered. And of course they are. They hate this woman. I feel like people on the left view Majority Taylor Greene. And again, I don't agree with everything she says, but I like a lot of things she says. And I think there's like a big part that I like that she says is that when she goes against some of the power the federal government has over the individual, or she talks about corporations stuff, things that the left used to be for, she kind of talks about now. It's just, we live in such an altered reality. But here is Majority Taylor Greene talking about her experience and how the left wants to actually murder her, which I think that there are people out there that believe that. I believe there are people out there, if you engage in anything politically and you're online, there's weirdos out there. I don't know if you're on my stream just Tuesday or Monday when that guy was like talking so much shit to me and saying the most horrendous things to me. And I got so many messages later that night. So like these people in politics, it seems like they just want to fight and they want to get rid of you any means necessary. But here's Majority Taylor Greene right here.
You've got a pretty big megaphone, and nobody gave you this megaphone. In fact, they try to suppress you at every step of the way because you speak truth to power. Is the left trying to have you assassinated, ma'am?
Yes, they're trying to have me murdered. They are trying to get me killed. And sometimes they're trying to kill me themselves with their own death threats, and they're being arrested for trying to do that. Steve, last night I was swatted for a second time.
See, this is why I love the chat so much. Papa, great point. Don't forget the guy who planned on murdering Brett Kavanaugh. Exactly. He went in, I know he later that day confessed, and people were just like, oh, well, he confessed, and it's like not a big deal. He was trying to murder a Supreme Court. Yeah, it's like, and that story has quickly just dwindled. And then you still have things like today, Biden coming out and talking to his Democratic base, saying how fascistic the right is and the MAGA crowd is. It's just, and then you have all kinds of people on the right that are just physically abused and swatted. Like Tim Pool gets swatted all the time. Lots of people get swatted, and people just laugh about it and mock them. And I don't know if you've watched a guy named The Quartering. He gets swatted. I mean, there are so many different people that get swatted, and people like mock them. And that's just how aggressive they are and how much they don't care about your life. They don't care about life. They don't care. They just care about power. The left is consumed with power, and they want any means necessary in order for their views to rule over your life. And they might push back and say, that's actually the right too. And I, to some degree, sure. But that's why I'm more in the middle. Like, I just like, leave me the F alone. Both of you guys. God, I'm sick of you trying to control my life. Congress then denied the bill that would grant extra security for the Supreme Court justices. Of course they did. Why would the Congress support that? Congress would probably promote, more security for Black Lives Matter. They have they cry about Majority Taylor Greene getting mocked by that Alex Stein guy saying you're a big booty, juicy Latina. And they're like, oh my God, that's basically a threat. And then she, Majority Taylor Greene, gets swatted twice. And they're like, yeah, right. You just woke up this morning to say this? Oh my God, you're making such a big deal out of nothing. I know the police can show up at your door and just knock it down because somebody said horrible things to their phone and ruin your whole life and potentially get you killed. And I know that's their way of murdering you, but not murdering you because we'll see what happens. We'll see what the police do. Who knows? The violence is ramping up more and more, and you need to prepare yourself for what they're capable of. So make sure your privacy is off on your things like pictures. Make sure you use things like a VPN. There are so many things that you can do to protect yourself that people just don't do. And don't take pictures of your house. Don't take pictures of places you go. Don't check in places. I know there used to be an app where you could check into places. There are so many levels that you can go. I'm surprised by how many people that are in politics that are content creators that will just post pictures of their home, post pictures of where they're from, and invite people into their life and not realize there are psychos out there that want you to die because you believe in something so crazy like, I don't know, ban abortion. It's just, they're like, oh my God, I have to have it. I'm going to kill you if you don't. It's just we live in such a crazy time. I want to finish Majority Taylor Greene's thoughts on the left wanting to kill her. And again, I'm not promoting her. I'm just saying swatting should never be an answer. You're basically trying to kill someone. Considering half the things I've said online, odds are they've already reserved my space in the gulag. Papa, I'll be right there with you, but my goal is to be best friends with a guard to hopefully get an extra cigarette for the day.
Trying to do that. Steve, last night I was swatted for a second time. 2 nights in a row happened to me, but I just want to give massive credit, shout out to the Rome police here. They are not stupid, even though the people over at Media Matters probably thinks they are, but they are not stupid. They are fantastic, and they are on to what is happening, but it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous, Steve, because we haven't found this person, or it may be a group of people, but whoever it is and whatever they are, their ideology is sick and disgusting. Their ideology is part of this whole movement to cause children to undergo the most horrific surgeries, to take awful medications, hormones, puberty blockers, to transform their bodies, mutilate their own bodies before they're even 18 years old, before they can vote, before they can join the military, before they can take out a student loan.
Okay,
well, apparently the person that swatted her did that in the name for trans kids is what is being reported. So that's why she kind of went off on that. It was just, I pray that never happens to me. I pray it never happens to you, because your life is more important than winning a political argument. Remember back when common sense existed? Well, common sense is a threat to the narrative, a threat to the establishment, because they think you shouldn't be allowed to question, you shouldn't be allowed to critique. Anybody that critiques those in power in today's world is seen as like a MAGA, Trump supporting, far right, fat, fascistic, basically Hitler's son in disguise. Like, if you have any critique of Biden, any critique of student loan forgiveness, they put you all in the same camp. Like, if you're not completely for us on everything, they put you in the camp of the other. And then they push you in the same aisle, and to the point where you're looking around, you're like, wait, that guy's with me now? Like, I think you're seeing more Generation Z, some of the younger generation, desire and crave common sense than ever before, because of how authoritarian the left has been with information, particularly on places like online and stuff like that. You're seeing a generation of kids that is just fed up with being told to shut up, fed up with saying that your opinion is not valued based on the color of your skin. Your opinion is not valid based on how you look or what you believe in, as far as like being Christian or, Jewish or whatever. Like, Tiger Man, what up? It's all a plan. Of course it is. The plan is complete government control over your life, and you looking to the government for your solution. Maybe looking to your government for your final solution. It's just, it's so obvious. And you and I, you are here with me because you see it just as much as I see it. And that's why we're hated. That's why we're put in a camp, because they can't deal with critique. They just want you to submit over and over again. I've always said that, like, there's not a war on men. There's a war on non-submissive men. Like, the minute you say, I don't actually know if I believe that, they're like, oh, okay. Okay, Alex Jones. You're like, wait, what? What did you just call me? Like, what the? Like, it's just such a ridiculous. The plan feels like a plot to a crappy dystopian young adult fiction film. You forgot to say young adult fantasy fiction novel. It really does. I mean, they're at the same point. Like, speaking of crappy dystopian, they just recently today decided to forego the disinformation board. Like, it's official that they got rid of it. Like, it's just, they read 1984, they love George Orwell, and they're just like, we can do this, and we'll do it right in front of their faces, and they'll just submit to it. Like, it's just so ridiculous. But here's Majority Taylor Greene getting swatted, and then people mocking her for being swatted. That's where we're at in today's society. A political figure, somebody that's in our politics that, is fearing for her life in the middle of the night, being swatted, whether you agree with her or not. I don't want Oh, what up? Thanks for the subscription. I don't want AOC to be swatted at night. I don't want Vosh. I don't want whatever far leftist I could possibly think of that Hassan on Twitch. That guy has a huge following. I don't want him to be swatted. Like, engage in conversation with people. Don't try to get people killed. Okay? God. When they do that, just channel your inner Alex and go nuts. I will. Look at this demon. Look at him. Look at him. Do you want this person with your kids? Look at him. I'm flabbergasted. I'm really hoping a leftist gets on my chat eventually. Okay. Let's go down the student loan forgiveness. Oh, should we do this? Let's do this. Marker. God. Okay, people. I got to get it right. Mark Zuckerberg today was on Joe Rogan. I got to clear my throat. And said this. And this should vindicate everyone that says the government has too much overreach in our life. The FBI should be completely abolished. I'm not saying they should be defunded. I said abolished. Get rid of, because they've been absolute trash. What have they saved us from? Comes out, talks about Facebook's how they censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, and it was not because they decided, you know what, we're just going to go along with the far left. He claims that the FBI came to him and told him to do so. That's right. Mark Zuckerberg says that the FBI said that this is Russian disinformation and was told to get rid of it. If that doesn't freaking blow your mind, I don't know what will. Okay, here we go.
How do you guys handle things when they're a big news item that's controversial? Like, there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
Yeah, we had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have, if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false. And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful. But basically a lot of people were still able to share it. We got a lot of complaints that was the case. Obviously this is a hyper political issue, so depending on what side of the political spectrum, you either think we didn't censor it enough or censored it way too much. But we weren't sort of as black and white about it as Twitter. We just kind of thought, hey, look, if the FBI, which I still view as a legitimate institution in this country, it's like very professional law enforcement, they come to us and tell us that we need to be on guard about something, then I want to take that seriously.
Did they specifically say you need to be on guard about that story?
No, I don't remember if it was that specifically, but it basically fit the pattern.
So we have the FBI going around to Facebook, probably Twitter, probably other sources to say, hey, there's going to be a lot of Russian disinformation, and, it's going to be all directed towards Biden. And everything you hear about Trump, whether a lie or true, is true. You know what I mean? Even the gray area stuff. And we're going to raid his place. But Hunter, you can still ride on Air Force One, and you can do whatever you want. Papa, translation, we buried the laptop scandal and allowed Democrats to win. Exactly. You mean they fortified the election? #Times article. That's where we're at. They're just saying it right in front of your face. And as he says, we didn't censor it. We just pushed it down to the bottom and made it so you couldn't really find it, or if it was shared, you can only directly message it to people. We didn't put it on any stories that were relevant in today's world. It's not censorship if you downgrade it, right? Right? God, it's just such a... what a time to be alive, people. What a freaking time to be alive. I mean, what an insane freaking clip. Technically, they said that the laptop had the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. Isn't it funny how they never told us what those hallmarks were? Great point. Start at the foundation and work your way back. What hallmarks? What were we talking about? Oh, because it's about Biden? Because it's actually horrible information and should lead to the point where he should maybe be impeached due to, I don't know, some of his financial stuff or some of his business dealings with Ukraine and China and stuff like that. And it seems like a constant wink and a nod as this administration constantly winks and nod and gives more money to Ukraine. Totally unsupervised. We have no idea where that money goes. At least with the student loan forgiveness, we know where it's going. But at Ukraine, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. You need to be for it. If you're not for it, you're basically Putin himself. Also with China, it's like, you know, China's a really bad country and we support Taiwan, but at the same time, we love everything that they're doing. And we wish we would have had the same COVID response as them. It's because the laptop smelled like Trump's hired 2 prostitutes to pee on him. Of course he did. This guy pees like nobody's business. Trump loves peeing. God. What an insane clip, though. I'm glad there are... I'm sure Zuckerberg is like oily as it gets, but I like that there's at least some part of his brain that just can't help but say some of these things out loud, like open and honestly. I'm just glad that he's had the cojones to actually go on a podcast like this and talk, because most people, I always give credit to anybody that goes on a podcast like Joe Rogan, despite if I agree with them or not, despite if I think they're a good person or not, because I think it just shows what kind of personality a person is, or what type of person is, by them going on a 3-hour podcast with no commercial breaks and no one backing you and just talking. Like, I think it says a lot, because I don't think a lot of politicians would ever do anything like that. They would all come in with their parameters of what they're like allowed to say, not allowed to say. You would just see that constantly. Look at this silly story. All right, let's see if this story's any good. This is, we need to get more Republicans talking about how bad inflation is. It seems like such a slam dunk in midterms for Republicans, but Republicans will find a way to totally screw it up in the end. They're just terrible at what they do. For majority of them are just weak candidates who aren't good at messaging, and the inflation and so much of what's going on in the world and being accountable where money goes, and just even the whole student loan forgiveness that's just a forgiveness to the privilege in the world, to those who don't make too much money. If you make under 125,000, so if you're married, you can have 249,000, and you're just like, yeah, those people need to have 20,000 debt relief now. I don't make that much money. I paid off my loans. Get it together. All right, here we go. Let's see if this story is funny at all.
NFL preseason games are in full swing, and so are fans' tailgate traditions.
Getting all the food, getting the grills ready, the tent.
Packing, loading, it's a process.
Yes.
But this year, you'll find rooting for your favorite team is more expensive as inflation takes a bigger bite out of game day budgets.
We wish it was lower prices, but, you kind of just have to adjust and go with the flow.
It seems like...
Damn, those tailgaters should have used 13 cents to save from July 4th towards the tailgate barbecues. Exactly. Biden is doing everything he can to help the tailgaters in today's world. Think about it. I know you paid $1 for that hot dog 2 years ago, but you're paying $3 for it now, even though a month ago it was like $4. So you think of the savings.
The same stuff you buy, it's an extra $10 the next week, and then the following week it's another $10.
Chicken, rolls, snacks, and pickles are some of the biggest offenders, with double-digit percentage increases. Grocery store prices as a whole have soared 13% from last year.
That's the biggest one-year increase we've seen since the late 1970s.
And
I bet that NBC running this story is like they just want to get through this story. They don't want to actually dwell on this story. They're just like, I guess we'll mention a little bit inflation, and then in the end they'll probably come back and say something like, actually, inflation is coming down, so Biden's doing everything he can to help out the family members. But okay, let's get into what today's all about. We're going to get into what today's all about for me. A freaking student loan forgiveness of people making under $125,000. I've heard the gamut. I've heard it all. And who is it affecting? It's affecting every single one of us because a new study just came out saying it's going to cost the average American taxpayer $2,000 extra every year. They did the same thing with baby formula shortage. Exactly. But this whole student loan forgiveness, I don't think this is going away. A, because he can't legally do what he did, even though he did, and they'll probably find a way to make it legal. I have no idea. Because you're supposed to go through Congress, as Nancy Pelosi said that now she's walking back. Of course. That's what these people do. They're like, it's actually, you're not allowed to do this. Oh, Biden did it? It's so great that he did it. He is saving the average American person $10,000. They just assume, these people assume nobody likes guns. Everyone lives in high rises or in gated communities. Everyone has college loans that need to be paid for. And no one has the capacity to actually balance their budget, much like the government. They don't know how to balance a budget. Ergo, their voters have no idea what debt is. They don't know that you can pay off debt. They don't know what it means to, instead of going out to eat every week or going on your influencer vacation, you can just eat chicken and rice and pay your bills. They think that there's just no way in hell to be doing that. I paid my school loans when I was making under $40,000 a year. So I think that these people can do the same. How did I do it? Derek, how did you pay for school when you weren't making that much? Oh, I picked up 2 different jobs, and I picked up an extra job. That's called DoorDash. And I went around and I delivered food to all these privileged pricks. That's how I paid for it, because I didn't want to be in debt the rest of my life. And then you have the people on the other side of the aisle, people that I'm friends with, that are waiting for Biden to relieve their debt, praying that he's going to do so at any moment as they continue to spend more money. I have a friend that is in massive debt with her student loans. She doesn't know how to pay for things. She's worried about paying for her rent as she lives in a 3-bedroom house that she can't afford, and she lives by herself and just bought a new motorcycle. And in the same instance, has $20,000 in student debt. And my question is always, why don't you get rid of that? And her response is, I don't know. It's just too much for me to think of. I'm hoping that it goes away. And she just got debt relief. But then you have me, who doesn't go out to eat, doesn't go on vacation, and I work my ass off, and I pay my student loans off like a freaking adult. And so now we have an entire generation of privileged kids walking around thinking everything is just free. Well, free healthcare, free college, and now we're not holding these freaking colleges accountable for how much they charge, and we're only going to incur it, and now you and I are going to pay for it. Isn't that just so great? So those are the people that said, you know what, I'm not going to college, my family can't afford it, and I'm not going to put that on them. I don't want to afford it. I'll just take this job and try to work my way up. Now, you're going to have people like that are going to be pissed off going, wait a minute, I could have went to college and had the college experience and enjoyed my time playing beer pong and stuff like that. Instead, I worked my way up in a job I didn't really want to do because I could never afford college. And now I went to technical school and stuff like that. It's just so ridiculous. No rent meant for eviction moratorium 2021. Exactly. I feel like paying off your student loans is the first test of a true adulthood. Exactly. Or just paying off debt in general. Say you have credit card debt. Is Biden helping those people out? People that have massive credit card debt? Absolutely not. We're just helping out the people that make under $125,000. And if you're married, think of that combined. Okay? That's a lot of money. And they can't figure out a way to pay for their student loans? Are you kidding me? What? Which means I am more of an adult than most college students. And that's a sad story. Exactly. But I feel like I want to hear what this woman, Elizabeth Warren, has to say about this. She's going to tout this. She's going to say how amazing this is. but it's important to hear what this side of the story is saying. Again, it's going to cost the average taxpayer an extra $2,000 a year in little inflation because somebody's got to pay for it. It's not free. To be fair, if you make $125,000 in San Francisco, you're not technically middle class. Very true. You're always welcome to move anytime you want, though. All right, here is Elizabeth Warren.
To cancel some student debt for millions
And this
of
just came out,
Americans
so
is drawing
this isn't
praise,
old.
but also criticism. Some say it goes
Hopefully
too
there's something
far,
funny
while
in here.
Others say it doesn't do enough to address the high cost of college. Senator Elizabeth Warren, a Democrat from Massachusetts, has long advocated for even larger relief. She spoke with the president's top advisors.
Of course she did. I mean, if this isn't like confirm that Democrats are not for blue collar workers, they're not for low income. Democrats are leaning into their base, and their base is rich, privileged people. The people that tout Democratic policies, the people that support these people, that people that give these people money are rich leftists, are rich Hollywood elites, are people like we'll get into in a second of a Harvard professor being thankful for giving student loan debt to his students. This is where we're at. You're seeing the chasm slowly divide as the rich get richer, and then the politicians are winking and nodding at their base right here.
Before the final announcement, and she joins me now. Senator Warren, welcome back to the NewsHour. Always good to have you here. You have hailed this move as one of the biggest acts of consumer debt relief in American history. But as we pointed out, you have also long fought for more relief. And my colleague Laura Barone-Lopez reported you were among those who was making the pitch to the president in those final hours to get him to go beyond that $10,000 he was comfortable with. So tell us, what was your final pitch to the president on this?
So it was about concentrating the relief to those who need it most. And actually, that's where the president ended up. Remember, a lot of people talk about this as $10,000 of cancellation. The majority of people who will have their loan debt canceled will get $20,000 of cancellation. And that's because the president said $10,000 is the base, but another $10,000 for anyone who had a Pell Grant when they were in college. And remember who that is. 95% of the folks who have Pell Grants had family incomes under $60,000.
I had a Pell Grant.
More, and I'll still fight for more. I think there's more good that we could do, but there's concentration where it is needed the most. And that means that this morning, 20 million
She is an evil grandma.
woke up without student loan debt for the first time in their adult lives. And another 23
adult
million
is a very
Americans
loose
woke
term
up
there.
knowing that their student loan debt burden is going to be smaller than it was.
Can I see the data you collected for the majority? Exactly. No. People always use those terms. The majority of Americans feel this way. And you're like, who is this majority? You mean your rich lawyer friends who will do whatever it takes in order not to pay back their loans? Oh, okay, cool.
So, and I think that's good.
Let me ask you about that burden then. And I'm going to walk through the math. Tell me if I've got something wrong here. But
here we go.
know,
Math. Math's
as well
hard.
As I do the disparities, the racial
2 plus 2
disparities
equals
on this,
6.
Black borrowers in particular carry higher debts than their white counterparts. According to numbers I've
Oh, God. I hate when they just like throw crap like that. You know that black people have higher debts than white people? Where did you pull that from? This is just a fact. You need to believe it.
Seen from the NAACP, black borrowers on average have about $53,000 in student debt 4 years out of school. So $20,000 in loan forgiveness, that cuts the debt down to $33,000.
I feel like the majority of Americans owe me 300 pounds of gold. Yeah, me too.
That's not an insignificant amount of debt to still carry.
Yep. Oh, look, I pushed for a higher number in no small part for exactly that reason.
I'm not going to listen to this the whole time because I feel like it's useless. But I don't know. This whole thing it just makes me so mad. It's just the government winking and nodding to the most privileged class of people in American society. You know, those who were able to go to college, those who were saw it as a path forward and wanted to do the American dream, and then went to college, and then took a job that didn't pay him enough, or they never learned how to actually balance their budget, and they just quit, and they just give up, and then they're never forced to pay for debt, and they're never forced to grow up, and they're never like, I think there's like a certain level of pride a person has when you pay off a debt. You're just like, I can do it. I can be more. Instead, you're just creating an entire generation of people who feel like they can just do whatever they want, and there's no consequences to the actions whatsoever, and do what feels good. Do whatever feels good. You know, I had a lot of people in my neighborhood that I grew up with that didn't see college as an answer because they're like, I can't afford it. It's too much money. I'm not going to even do it. Also, the entire incentive for most people in the military is the free college. Is the idea that your college is going to be paid for, and now they got rid of that as well. I just... people that pay off their student loans that make well under $125,000, are you going to give them $20,000, $10,000? Absolutely not. Those people get screwed. What about the parents that decided to not go on vacations, decided to not go out to eat, decided to not buy that extra car, to put their child's life first and did whatever it takes in order to help pay for their child's school and saw that fund and put money into it and put way too much money in because they wanted a better life for their child? Are those parents going to get any money? No. It's just there's nothing fair about it. There's nothing universal about it. And it's just, you're statistically supposed to get paid more in a college with a college degree, so you should be able to figure it out. Nancy said the president don't have power to... Exactly, Tiger Man. She said it, and then today she walked it back. So it's just... He doesn't have the power to do this. It's against the Constitution. But it's like war nowadays. It's like we just sign it off. You know, the president has the power to do whatever we want. We're getting a king to rule over us. I'd be perfectly fine if Uncle Sam allowed me to write off $10,000 of my taxes. Exactly. They won't do that. There's no accountability for how this government spends money. The only positive thing in my mind is that at least we know where this money is going to, and at least this money is going to average American citizens and not going to you fill in the blank, whatever crap that they give money towards all the freaking time that's totally unaccountable, and it's just a wink and a nod to their base. Like this isn't, but this is. But at least we know it goes to, like, I know people who it's going to. Part of me is like mad that I actually paid off my debt. I should have just pulled out more loans because I make well under $125,000 a year. And yet I was able to pay it off. But again, it's because I'm so rich. Listen to this White House talk about this. It's just ridiculous.
That was another thing I was going to mention. I mean, the president often says that we're not in a recession because we've got, record job market, record low unemployment, businesses investing in America at record rates. Mm-hmm. So why are those appropriate conditions to forgive student debt?
Well, thank you for laying out all the work that the president has done. That is 1,000% correct. But
sorry, this is as loud as I possibly can take it. I'm pissed off now because I'm now on the hook for some idiot's bar tab. Exactly. Some kid decided, you know what, I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to college, even though these colleges pay way over the mark. These kids probably also didn't go to like technical schools for the first 2 years. They didn't go to a college. They didn't work a job while they were in college. They just chilled and had fun and, bro, we just partied all the time. So you're paying for those kids. The commies aren't coming. They're here and in charge. Exactly.
But we've also said that we know that some people are still suffering. You've heard us say that too.
Some people are still suffering.
Like, yes, the economy can be turned back on, and we've created, to what you've just laid out, nearly 10 million new jobs.
They've created 10 million new jobs. They turned it back on.
Since the president took office, that matters. The economy
that matters.
Is stronger than it's been in some time.
The economy is stronger than it's been in some time. Amazing.
And we have said that, you've heard the president say that, there's still some folks who need a little bit more help.
there are still some folks that need a little bit more help. And it's not the person that's working McDonald's. It's the lawyer and doctor. Maybe the doctors, because the way our medical system for doctors is totally screwed up. But it's the lawyer. It's the lawyer that's walking around suing people for money. Those people need a little extra help. It's the business grad. Law professor celebrates his students getting loans canceled. Social media trashes him. Here he is, law professor. Good news for thousands of my former students. I'm grateful on their behalf, Mr. President. Exactly. This is a perfect example of why you should be against this. The elite Harvard class. These people that, it's not what you learn at Harvard. It's the connections you make, and then you have a job the rest of your life, and everyone gives you a wink and nod, and you can just write down how much you make a year. Those people are suffering. Suffering that's ballsy to say, considering that they had no problem letting babies starve. Exactly. Again, and here's another one. Because people are asking, who's paying for this? How's this going to be paid for?
Referring to the BBB is paid fully paid for. It won't increase the deficit. Anyway, the question is, do you all believe that this student loan program is fully paid for? And if it's not, why does the president think it was important to have all of his other spending priorities fully paid for to be fiscally responsible, but not this one?
So we do. So this is the question that my colleague here, Ambassador, got. So we have to get a better sense, right, of what we're talking about as far as cost. Wait, let me just say that out loud. She is the domestic policy advisor, and when she was asked that question, so I just want to iterate what she said. But we do believe it will be fully paid for because of the work that this president has done with the economy, because of what you just.
They do, listen to her words specifically. They do believe this is going to be fully paid for based on what Biden has done for this economy. Hey, we're not saying it's going to be paid for. We believe it'll be paid for. What an easy out for when we as the American people already know, based on lots of different studies, that it's not paid for yet, and it's going to take a hit on inflation, and the American taxpayer is going to pay for it. They're trashing the dollar. Exactly. But the dollar's already trash, but they're just making it more trash. It's like, it used to be like a dump. Now it's like an entire country full of dump.
Said, what I just said is what we have done to bring down the deficit reduction. That matters.
They brought down the deficit.
To do. When you look at IRA, it is also that $300 billion deficit is going to matter, right? When you think about that $1.7 trillion by the end of this fiscal year is going to matter as well. And also, here's the thing,
they'll just blame Trump once the plan falls apart. Of course they will. They'll blame the Republicans. They'll blame somebody saying, how could you not be for this?
And we talk about the pause being lifted. That's going to bring $50 billion per year back into the Treasury, right?
You're putting free money into people's pockets, creating more demand, and you think prices are going to stay the same? No. Here's a perfect example as well of as we talked before, I forget who said it. I think it was Papa. We're talking about the overall majority of people feel this way. Here we go.
As you know, I can't get into politics from here, so I have to be very, very careful. I do want to talk through some polling. So if you look at the targeted student loan forgiveness, that the announcement that you heard from the Department of Education and the president, it's popular amongst American people.
It's popular against American people. This is popular for privileged people that went to college. People that went to college and decided, I'm going to still take vacations. I'm still going to go out to eat. Those people, I'm going to buy that new car. I'm going to buy a new house. I'll buy maybe a second house. Those people need debt relief now. Keep listening.
3 recent polls show that the president's proposal, the 10,000K forgiven, is supported by a majority of Americans. A couple of polls. The Morning Consult political poll in June among 2006 registered voters found 51% support for giving $10,000.
2,000 people? How many people are in America? That's a perfect example then.
NPR, a survey of 1,020.
Government cannot give anything to anyone without taking away from others. That is the most beautiful statement ever, Tiger Man. Exactly. I'm with the government. I'm here to help. Like it dumbfounds me how many people were arguing, saying that you're not going to pay for this. Like, people don't understand who funds the government, and then when people rebuke those people saying that actually it's the American taxpayer that pays for those people, they're like, oh, okay, I get it now.
22 adults conducted.
2006, that's a lot of New Yorkers, exactly. We went to the most privileged part in New York, and we polled them, and they all said we could really use some debt relief for our sons and daughters that went to Harvard and Yale.
Last month found 55% of respondents back the cancellation of up to $10,000.
55%?
The Economist YouGov survey of 1,500 adults in July found 51% of Americans are in favor of that threshold.
That is an overall majority.
So their majority of Americans approve of this targeted approach that you heard from this administration.
Majority, and actually, we forgot to tell you, part of our poll was actually asking, do you have a degree or not? And we only took into account those with a degree. Isn't that fun?
And I think that matters.
That matters.
I'm not going to get into politics and to what is the next several weeks are going to look like.
Yeah, this isn't political. This is just money, okay? This is free money for free people that totally deserve it. These people need it, and they need it now.
As you know, the elections play out, but I can speak to
55% is a horrible statistic. That's like saying I have a 55% not having herpes. Exactly. Papa, you have a 55% not catching herpes by being on my stream.
The popularity of what
those are good numbers. Those are overall majority.
What we did, how this is going to help struggling families, and that has always been the plan of this president, especially as we look at the economy and making sure that we do not leave anybody behind. Okay?
Oh my God, that last sentence is like, oh, okay. This last sentence talking about student loan debt forgiveness is just, it's the icing on the cake.
As we look at the economy and making sure that we do not leave anybody behind.
Yeah, we're not leaving anyone behind, okay? Everyone's getting student debt relief. Everyone that we care about, not the blue-collar workers. Those people are stupid Trump MAGA people. We don't care about those people, okay? We want the highly educated, white, suburban woman. We care about that vote. We need more of that vote. We are the equitable and perfect party, the Democrats. God. That explains the sudden itchiness. Yeah. Sorry, Papa. That happens to all of us, man. As we continue down, let's find out how New Yorkers feel about this. I mean, I just can't imagine. You would think they're for this, right? I don't know, but it is Fox News. What are you gonna do? They're probably self-selective with their who they pick to ask about. You know, just like those recent poll numbers.
I pay for my student loan, and everyone else should pay for theirs too.
Excuse me, sir. That is okay. This statement is so racist. I don't even know what to say.
I pay for my student loan, and everyone else should pay for theirs too.
No, sir. No. No. I need the government to pay for my student loan. It costs me way too much. I'm not going to hold these college institutions accountable for how much I paid, and I'm not going to hold myself accountable for how many times I like to go to the new trendy restaurant and get bottomless mimosas. I need to hold... Well, you need to pay for my bill. You. You're a loser. God. We just live in such... I was a roofer here in Tampa Bay area. Don't tell people where you live. House on a 5-acre farm in Live Oak. Paid for the suite in ninth grade Education. I was like trying to read that. I'm like, I know I'm stupid, but like that was hard for me. Education. How could you do that with a 9th grade education, Tiger Man? I don't know how you did it. Because it's like I don't get it. Speaking of Florida, here's Papa D.
It's very unfair, to have a truck driver have to pay back a loan from somebody that got like a PhD in gender studies. That's not fair. That's not right.
Wrong. We need more gender studies majors. They make our lives way better. Haven't you noticed the last 2 years? Things are so much better.
And so, and then you also just have the fact, like, if you're going to talk about debt, then you should look at, okay, who has benefited the most from all this exorbitant debt that's been taken out over the last generation? It's the universities. They have bloated administrative budgets.
Don't talk about the universities. Never turn your eyes to the education department or universities. They're the good guys, okay? You guys are just useful idiots. The sad part is that these students have high-paying jobs at Instagram headquarters. Exactly. Exactly, Papa. Exactly. You're getting it. It's that generation of people who think that paying off debt, paying off credit card debt, these are just hard things to understand, hard things to comprehend. I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to pass the buck.
They have all this, although in Florida, since I've been governor, no tuition increases at our state universities. We haven't allowed that.
Oh my God, he's so fascist.
Because all it does is they plow it in and they will expand like the DEI office or something.
Exactly. Our universities are exactly like our government. They're never held accountable for they'll just expand. We don't know how to keep not paying these people this much money. We're just going to increase your tuition are you offering better education? No. But our new football team has a dope locker room. You should check it out, bro.
Something else.
Roofing paid good until the flood of cheap labor flooded our country. Tiger Man, that's racist. How dare you say that? I almost spit. I bet a penny that AOC will claim $124K on her taxes so she can get a $10K. Oh my God. Of course. God.
Else like that. And it has no real impact on the quality of the education when they're raising the tuition. It just creates more administrative bloat. And that's been going on. And the colleges and universities have gotten a free ride at this. So, my view is if you're going to do some type of student loan, relief, it's not really relief because people are still paying for it. But the people that should pay for it is not the American taxpayers. It should be the universities should be responsible for that. If they're
How dare you, Papa D?
They're producing people that went deep into debt and their degree is not worth anything and they're not able to make enough money to pay it back, well, then that's on them. And they've had an incentive to get more and more loans taken out and then put it in their pocket. So we should look at these universities. But what Biden is doing, it's going to cause more inflation, which is what you just have.
Studies have shown that inflation isn't created by inflation and that money is money.
And one of Obama's economists come out and say, this is the worst time to do this. It's going to fuel inflation. This is not good policy. Obviously, the fairness and all that is very important, but it's not a good fiscal or monetary policy. And so you see that. But then you also have the fact that they're doing that with zero reform to the universities and the loans and everything that's happened that's clearly way, way out of whack. And then, I think this is still important. Some people may not care as much. He does not have the constitutional authority to do this.
Exactly. He doesn't have the constitutional authority whatsoever to do it. But what's the Constitution anyways? You mean that racist white man document? Oh, that's what I thought. Here's a perfect tweet. Many universities are engaging in the ultimate form of price gouging. They raise their tuition every year while sitting on non-taxable multi-billion-dollar endowments. And they keep doing it as long as our government continues giving our kids blank check for college loans. Oh my God. This is like such an obvious point and should be stated and restated and stated again. But you're not allowed to hold the education department accountable or colleges accountable because they're perfect and blameless. They're basically Jesus, Don't talk bad about the colleges. They'll hear you. God. Yeah, another one. Since when as something as minor as a Supreme Court decision stopped this administration? Exactly. That's why look, I talk to so many people on the right and they talk about how the Constitution is so great. I see this administration, I see political figures constantly not giving a crap about the Constitution and seemingly somehow still having power. I know a lot of things on the SCOTUS gets rebuked over time and laws change over time and stuff like that. And I'm glad for the Constitution and thankful for it. But these people don't care about that. They just see that as like a stumbling block document that they eventually want to get rid of. Here's another perfect tweet. There is no cost that has gone up more than in the last few decades than college tuition. The more we ask taxpayers to foot the bill for students to go into debt for their education, the more expensive it will become. It's time to make universities themselves foot the bill. How dare you say that? That is so racist. How much do you want to bet that we're paying for some of Hunter Biden's loans? Oh my God. Please say it's not so. How could we make payments with all those others? Dude, imagine if we were. Where is the one tweet? Oh, okay. I'm not even going to listen to this. What we've done is fiscally responsible. Then she went on to say we already paid for it. But here is this tweet right here sums up Elizabeth Warren. God, I need to take a drink of water. Sorry. This right here, Elizabeth Warren going after McConnell. Senator McConnell graduated from a school that costs $330 a year. Today it costs over $12,000. McConnell has done nothing to fix it and is irate that the president is stepping in to help millions of Americans drowning in debt. He can spare us the lectures on fairness. Here's a tweet. You made $430,000 lecturing at Harvard and have the nerve to question why college costs $12,000 today. Boom, shakalaka. College institutions are one of the biggest problems in America today that no one wants to talk about. It's kind of like the border. It's just, pretend like this is not a problem, make it just go away, and we'll just focus all our energy on how much of a dictator Trump is. That's all they want you to focus on. They don't want you to actually hold, institutions like the FBI, CIA, places like that. They don't want you to hold those people accountable. You need to just focus all your energy on Trump and Biden only. There's so much more going on in the world that we need to be paying attention to. But at the same time, you can't overdo yourself. So think about that. God. I can't imagine if I had to pay for Hunter Biden, I would lose my shizzle. I don't even know if I want to go down that road. All I learned from college was that I have an impressive capacity for alcohol. Papa, I want to know about this capacity for alcohol, bro. Talk to me about it. Is there anything worse than the evil bad guy from every James Bond film or Batman film than Gavin Newsom? I mean, he's like all of them combined. He is like the evil police chief that is taking bribes on the side. Here's Gavin Newsom giving a wink and nod to the far left. Let's cripple the American economy, and especially some of our low-income workers. And, we just gave debt relief to all the privileged people. Let's now go after those people that can't afford electric cars. Go, Gavin Newsom, go!
2 years ago, we took a risk. We came out front. I did an executive order saying in 2035, California was going to lead the way on alternative fuel vehicles. Tomorrow, the California Air Resources Board is going to codify that. We will be the first jurisdiction in the world to require all new cars to be sold to be alternative fuel cars.
That's right. All your gas-powered cars are going to go up in price like a mother. like big time. Especially in California. You're going to have people buying cars in Arizona and Nevada, and they're just going to get it, and then they're going to transport them over. How that's going to work, I'm not sure. But you know how this government is. It's all about, winking and nodding. At the same light, before everyone loses their mind, like, how could you not be against this? Same light, somebody like a Gavin Newsom will happily take a private jet to a function like in Aspen, Colorado, or J-Hole for a convention to spouse about climate change. These are the same people. Like Taylor Swift just recently got bombarded on the internet about how many times she flies private everywhere. Or as you just saw a Prince Harry article about how he's taking private everywhere too. These are the same climate people that are winking and nodding. It's not about if there was consistencies in the way they acted by what they said, I could be like, okay, we can engage in this conversation. But there isn't. It's all about what you need to do, not them. I feel like Gavin Newsom is a lackey to the evil emperor. Exactly. He doesn't have enough charisma to be a supervillain. Okay, that's fair. Okay. When there's no gas tax for the roads, they will make of course they will. Oh my God. I have family members that live in California, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, they just bought, like, the most expensive house I've ever seen, and it's not that great. I don't know if you saw this being passed around today. This was hilarious. Podcast movement. Hey, folks. Podcast movement expo. Podcasting expo. Apparently, the Daily Wire bought, a little space for the podcast expo to, promote their podcast, everyone. And what happened during the event? Hey, folks, we owe you an apology for before the session kickoff today. Yesterday afternoon, Ben Shapiro briefly visited the PM22 Expo near the Daily Wire booth, though it was not registered or expected. We take full responsibility for the harm done by his presidents. Oh my God, he was like walking around with his yarmulke. I can't take it. There's no way around it. We agreed to sell the Daily Wire a first-time booth based on the company's large presence in podcasting. The weight of that decision is now painfully clear. Oh my God, so painful. Shapiro is a co-founder. A drop-in, however unlikely, should have been considered a possibility. Let's go into some of these replies. You sound like completely insane people. What in the world is wrong with you? This is a joke. You couldn't tolerate Ben freaking Shapiro? Are you a child, an anti-Semitic child? How do you function in society if you can't tolerate Ben Shapiro? Let's go into more. Oh, Michael Mouse. This is the best. You're a bunch of cowards. My goodness. People grow up. Commandments back on. Applause. I hope this means you're going to stand up to the cyber crybillies and recant those atrocities. Spineless apology for the diversity of viewpoints. Ben Shapiro stands somewhere. Leftist. Oh my God. He's right there. Ben Shapiro's right there. To be fair, Shapiro's voice is pretty annoying at times. Oh, 100%. I'm Ben Shapiro. And how fast he talks. I just tried to talk as fast as he does. But imagine being so triggered by somebody like a Ben Shapiro. I feel like Hitler himself could walk in the podcast movement expo and they would just be like, wow, this guy has some radical ideas. But then Ben Shapiro walks in and they're like, oh my God, call the police. An evil dictator has finally arrived. Like, it's just like Mao Zedong could walk in the podcast movement booth and just be like, checking things out. And they're like, oh my God, did you see Ben Shapiro? Get him out of here. Disgusting. The guy is basically committing murder by being here. I swear to God. God. Ben Shapiro is just cray-cray. We just live in a crazy world. All right, I'm done. Podcast. It was an hour and a half podcast. You good people. I hope you guys enjoyed this Thursday. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, choosing me over any other podcast there is online. There are great things to listen to, good people to listen to. I appreciate you for hanging out with me. It means a lot to me. It really does. I know I say that every time, but I'm dead serious. Like, you know, there are great podcasters out there. So the fact that you choose me means a lot to me. I hope you enjoy my show. I hope you enjoy all the clips I put together and the stories I put together and the time it takes me to actually do that and create engaging content and stuff like that. Also, I have a new character to show that I'm going to be bringing out. It's me, the liberal. I'm going to be having a new character coming out, and I might wear a wig. I'm not sure. But for those of you who are still on, I might start making videos touting how amazing the left is to see if the algorithm likes that more. I just don't know. I don't know if I could control him so much. See ya, Papa and Derek. Hey, Tiger Man, appreciate you guys so much. Honestly, it means a lot to me. I hope you guys have a freaking great day. You guys are the best people on earth. As always, I have the best people in the chat, and you guys are the best. Enjoy your day. See you tomorrow. Be there tomorrow. Hang out with me tomorrow. Same time, same bat station. Bye. Peace out.